I believe is going to be huge. It's one of those futuristic movies. You're going to get something and you're going to be like, is that real? Because they can AI a lot of things now. Was that a real you? Was that a real person? Like the authentication of things that we take in, I believe is a $1 billion future idea because people are going to, just like they've done in the memorabilia world. Hey, is this legit?
GTM AI Podcast with Jonathan and Coach K, where you get the latest with AI and GTM today.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It is I, Jonathan Kvarfordt, aka Coach K. This is the GTM AI Podcast. I'm so excited to have my man, Jack Siney, with me. How are you, my man?
Great. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing?
How's everybody doing? It's really good to see you. So you, my man, are with FrontRace, and we're going to get into all sorts of details we guys do because you told me before the call about some of the things you're doing, which is awesome. But before we get to that, I want to know about you. So if you don't mind, let's get into a little bit about your journey and how you came to be, your role currently with FrontRace, and just what you're excited about.
Sure. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Super excited. So I grew up in Maryland, middle-class kid. And when I came out of college, I went to go work for the Navy as a civilian. So odd first job. I literally was on the F-18 fighter jet program for the Navy as a civilian for a series of years. Got to see and experience some things most people don't. I then quickly knew I was like, I can't be in the government world. This will drain me of everything that I have. And so went away to MBA school and then had the opportunity to go work for Pricewaterhouse and then transitioned. At that time, the internet was exploded, the late 1990s, and really started my entrepreneurial venture. Went out to San Francisco and started a company out there and have the fortune, my last two ventures, one was in the public safety space, grew that company, helped the public safety world integrate, upgrade their technology. And then from that, segued into government procurement, going back to my roots with the Navy. The government procurement process is broken. We all know that. And so we had a government technology that actually helped companies buy from the government and help the government buy more efficiently. That took off, was amazing. And FrontRace, which was my current company, actually grew out of that last company called GovSpend. And as we help folks do business with the government better, had this piece of technology that allow us to sell that entity for 9 figures and just helped us operationally, helped us really handle very complex operational issues. And so that's how we got to FrontRace organically, each of my career ventures building upon each other. So
I love that. Why this? Let's do this. Yeah. Tell briefly, obviously, what the heck FrontRace is so people have a clue of what it is, and then tell me why this problem is the one you chose.
Sure. So FrontRace, what we do is today's systems, we all know there's a ton of tools out there, sales enablement tools, core CRM tools, telephony, you name it. And I think most managers today are overwhelmed about where do I get data? And I have most of the data is in our system somewhere, trying to find it efficiently. We always know that when there's a problem. When there's a problem, we can go research and be like, oh, that's where I just didn't see it. And I believe that's what managers and leaders are really confronted with today. It's not a data problem. It's too much data. And so FrontRace, what we do is we aggregate everything you have today. It's not another tool to add to your tech stack. It literally is a system that connects all the data you have and lets you see it in one view, analyze the crap out of it in any way you want. And then with AI tools can find things that you wouldn't find organically on your own as a human being. So that's a backdrop at FrontRace. Grew out of our last company because like most companies, COVID, we had a big sales team. We have a 100+ person sales team. They all went work from home. And then you try to be today, we talked about before the show, there's all this cultural stuff. Are we going to work from home? Are we hybrid? I want to support that. What are my people doing? I have all this data. How do I get back to being successful? And I'll just tell you this as somebody who's talked to a ton of CEOs over the last 5 years. This story gets repeated to me 90% of the time. Hey, before COVID, 420, we were crushing it. We were killing it. We were on the road, no problem. COVID took everybody down. God bless everyone down. And most companies are back. But the challenge is they're only back to about 80%. When I talk to CEOs, I'm like, we're back, we're good, but they're almost ceilinged out. They can't figure out how do we get back to great? And I think that's really driven by the cultural issues of how we work and where we work. And it's driven by I have so much data and so many systems and so much AI. I don't know where to find the gold nuggets in that. And so that's what FrontRace is really designed to do, is help make that process 1,000,000 times easier and find the gold nuggets in all of this very complex stuff that we're doing today.
I love it. It's a good breakdown. So let me ask you this then. With people you have access to data and stuff, and I'm not asking obviously for anything specific names, but just anonymizing the data, just your view. What is your answer to the question of we're hitting 80% where it's not 100? Like, do you see patterns and what's going on that's holding people back? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I think anecdotally now is, again, we're in blue ocean as we're now with AI and everything's on the
Right.
table. I think what companies are doing today is fool's gold, which is, hey, we had this process that worked in the office for years and years,
Yeah.
was successful. Let's try to automate it. AI's out there. You have to say you use AI. And if you don't, people won't talk to you. Every website, every company, right? But what they really have not done is looked at the process. COVID, everyone went work from home and they're trying to like balance that, whatever that might be. Maybe you jam people back in the office, whatever that kind of work process is. But many companies, most companies are not looking at the process. What technology can do today, what AI can do today, in my mind, wipes the slate clean. And so instead of companies being open to that, this kind of Kaizen, let me look at everything over and see how we should do things. They're trying to automate AI, a process they had 3, 4, 2 years ago. And I believe 2030 going forward, as we hit the second half of this decade, it's all going to be different. We're going to sell different. The systems are going to be different. And I think most companies aren't really excited. What is it? We only change when the pain of staying the same is less than the pain of changing. And so I think most companies not accepted yet that, hey, I've really got to do things dramatically different, not just automate what I did 3 or 4 years ago. And I believe that's why most companies are sealing down at their 80% of what they were 5 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like the quote from Henry Ford resonates with me so much because I feel
I was
like we're in
thinking
the
that
same
too.
spot
Yep.
of just like saying if I asked people what they wanted, they would have asked for a faster horse. It's like you're so stuck in the way of things as they were, you're not willing to see how things could be.
Yep.
To give you another mode of transportation. It's like the whole creating flight and having airplanes and all sorts of stuff. Like at some point, someone had to try. I feel like we're at that point now where people are trying. We were talking about this before the call. It's kind of like the conquistadors or this is a category for the Christopher Columbus type people where they go out into the ocean. They go, we don't know what we're going to find. We're going to go out and find it. There's this world where people are trying to find different things or they're trying to find different ways of getting there, like building an airplane. And that requires letting go of the earth. And that's the scary thing.
You know, when Steve Jobs said, I'm going to put 1,000 songs in your pocket. Again, before the iPad, before digital music, people weren't like, I want 1,000 songs in my pocket. So it almost requires each of us to have kind of that rewiring. Steve Jobs, what should it be? Can it be? Not, let me just make, like you said, let me just make what we're doing right now better or faster, because that's not going to result in winners 5, 6, 7 years from now.
It's kind of going back to what you said before about the fool's gold, or kind of like, I feel like things were successful before. I'll give you a classic example. I'm not going to use any tech names, but I'll just give an example. There are CROs who would go from one place to another, and because of larger market trends, they'd have success. So they had the same methodology, the same 5 tech stack, the same team, and they move from one place to the next place to the next place and just remodel, have equity sell out. And they do that for years. So they thought that was the reason why they're successful, when actuality was it was more the larger market. And I'm not saying that those CROs weren't doing something well. They were probably. But now if they apply that same thing now and it's not working, that tells me that it wasn't really working in the first place. There's other factors involved that was making success that now they don't have, that now it's unveiling to them because they're like, we're 80% of where we used to. I can't get there.
I totally agree. I think the real challenge today is the marketing piece in my mind. There's all this other, it's like, how do we reach people? And I think that's one thing, but I think what people don't talk a lot about, a lot of the conversation I hear is, hey, how do I reach people? How do I find my ICP? What ways do I do it? All these technologies, Tripify and Insta, da-da-da. But what's also going to happen, the companies are going to have more information on the customers too. Imagine when you walk in to buy something, imagine the seller knows more about the person, right? You show up and they're like, oh, this person has a $1 million budget. They just changed their thing, or they're struggling. Like, it's going to go both ways, and it's going to create a whole new dynamic when sales and prospects meet, that I think we only really talk about what do the salespeople want and what will they have and how do we automate it? And there's another side to it that we're going to have more information about the customers and the prospects and what they really need and what they've done that's never been had on the seller side as well.
I think it even goes beyond that as well. So it's not just having data on the customer, but it's the customer having more data, period.
Yeah.
So like when you have I'll give you an example of one of the guests I had on, like the consequences of a technology like OneMind, to where if you can automate or have like, if I could go to a website and have avatar that's smart enough to answer my questions and make sure it doesn't go off the rails with anything, show me a demo, show me a deck, answer my questions, do all this stuff, and automate the first 3 steps of most people's sales process, that drastically changes things. So it requires 2 things. One, that me as a buyer, that I want that experience in the first place, and I'm okay with doing it with an AI. And then 2, because I'm narrowing the scope of what the salesperson is doing, that means they have to be doing things extremely well, because they're not responsible for 20 things anymore. They're responsible for 5. And those 5 things have to be
Really good.
all of this has to go down to, what is the buyer okay with? Because it's kind of like, I ask people this question all the time. Would you buy a house from an AI avatar, totally 100% no human involved?
Right.
I don't know. I've never done it before. But is there a world where you could have a hologram AI walk you through a virtual reality version of your house? Yes. So what do I need an AI for? What do I need a human for? Because I could potentially replace human agents with an AI agent for AI.
To me, that's right. That to me is going to be the most interesting part. And I think there's, my personal belief, there's 2 phases. There's going to be this, we're going to have more AI and more automation. Elon with his robots, right? Everyone's going to have a robot like we all have a car today, right? Okay. So then, but I still think people although we don't trust salespeople like politicians, they want some person to tell them, somebody to tell them. And then I think phase 2, when we have a robot in our house and when we're used to more automation, then there's going to be, I believe there is going to be this, how much non-human sales process are we going to actually be comfortable with? We're all okay with the commodities, right? Whatever. I don't want to talk about it. Let me just stop. But when it gets to real money or customized stuff or high-tech stuff, how much we're going to trust? Because if it doesn't work out, what are you going to do? Blame the computer? Be like, listen, your computer told me. So that phase 2, I think is going to be really interesting. And I think that's where the rubber hits the road about, hey, the AI replaced me as a person. It's going to take my job. But I think the next phase 1, which we're starting, is still a lot of human interaction. They want somebody to bless it, what have you. But it will be that, in my mind, the next phase when we do have robots around more often, and it becomes part of our daily routine of dealing with automation. Then how much big dollars, complex things, do we want a human, and are they better? And do I feel better because I talked to a live person? I don't know. And will we even know it's a live person, right? If the AI technology, you think it's a real person, but it's actually not. See, I don't know if you saw it at the Consumer Electronics Show. They had some of the people, they looked very real until the guy told you it wasn't a person. It looked like a real person. So
I have this theory. It's one of the things I have as a prediction this last year, was that the more and more AI everything gets, from audio to avatars to writing to everything else, that trust will become a key point, which means that I see in-person events having a major swing. Because at least for the next year or so, until robots become super advanced, you can't tell that in-person are people. In-person is the only way you're going to know if you're connected with someone that's an actual human. Otherwise, you can automate or AI literally everything is digital. It's crazy.
I'm a big sports fan. In the sports world, they had this authenticate autograph, right? Authenticate a piece of memorabilia.
Yeah.
Free, I think, $1 billion idea in the future. The authentication piece, I believe, is going to be huge. It's one of those futuristic movies. You're going to get something and you're going to be like, is that real? Because they can AI a lot of things now. Was that a real you? Was that a real person? Like, the authentication of things that we take in, I believe, is a $1 billion future idea, because people are going to, just like they've done in the memorabilia world. Hey, is this legit? Did Derek Jeter really sign this? Did someone like authenticate what it is? And I think that'll be the interesting part of the future of that. You watch the interviews, again, as a sports fan, they'll do some fake interviews. You're like, did he really say that? You have to, who said what? Is that real? And so that's clearly coming. And there'll be this big thing of, was that the old, is that live or is it Memorex? Is that live or was it somebody made it up?
Yeah.
That's going to be,
it's going to be that. Yeah, it's going to be that I feel the same way with music, just because like I've created some amazing music with AI. I'm a musician for years. I've recorded hundreds of songs, and some of the things I've done with AI is mind blowing, but AI as of yet can't perform that yet. We can play the track, and maybe robots could play everything alive, but it's a possibility. But I know that people want to have that experience live, because there's this energy in this community. Like, performing something live is something that you can't trade in the world for anything. It's like this most amazing experience ever as a performer. And I don't see AI taking that away anytime soon. It might in 10 years. Right now, I don't think so. But maybe I'm wrong. If it comes back in a year and we have a robot given concept that's awesome, like great, like whatever. But I just see this world where there's still that, I agree with you, there's just going to be this human element on some level. I don't know what that is, whether it's based on the complexity of the deal, or whether it's based on just trust, or whether it's just whatever. But there's going to be something that we're going to need as humans, because I don't see us having that with AI at a certain level. So it makes sense. They're going to be capped. But
I was in San Francisco, Silicon Valley during the .com, right? And they were like, the world's going to change and and every company had an E in front of it, and you were .com and to date myself. And the reality is now, 25 years later, half a dozen major companies came out of that. Amazon, eBay, and all. Most of them faded away. That's what's happening with AI right now. I'm an AI company, AI. Yeah, and the reality is, 5 years from now, there'll be a series of very successful AI companies, and the rest will either consolidate or peter away. And what really adds? What really adds? Like, one of my buddies back in the day sold an e-calendar company to AOL for hundreds of millions of dollars, an e-calendar, which was revolutionary at the time. So there'll be some things that stick.
So funny,
right? But it's people parts. As we get used to the technology, then we'll start to integrate it. But again, I think right now people are trying to jam a square peg in a round hole. Be like, let me stick AI into my 19 or 2019 process, and it's not gonna work. Or they're certainly not going to maximize the value out of it. They're just not.
Yeah. So with that in mind, can I ask, what are you guys doing internally, current state right now, with AI that you feel like is new, different, cutting edge? I don't know if you can share anything or not, but are you doing something like that now internally?
Yeah, it's really fair. There's two sides of that question. What we're going to market with and our internal operations. So go to market with, I would say, I humbly believe FrontRace is addressing the biggest problem that managers and leaders are confronting with today, which is, I have all this data.
What do I do with it?
I should be doing something with AI, but if I'm really honest, I don't know what it should be. I need some AI. I have a lot of systems. Let me buy gone.
I need AI. Yeah.
Let me get my tech stack. I need tech. And they have all these systems. And the reality is, and we see the up close data, because that's what we do. We analyze, we piece all the data together. We could tell you, of the new system you bought, are people really using it? And did it help you? Imagine you bought a sales enablement system and it actually made your numbers go down. So we see all the pieces. And I think companies are defaulting to just installing stuff and trying to be more automated without really knowing what's the data. And so what we do, what FrontRace does, is connect all the data you have today, whether you have an old school data stack or tech stack or a new school one. We connect all the data in one view. Then you have a bazillion filters. And quite honestly, most people, that data, that view will make the eyes roll back in your head. Unless you're an analytics person, it's too much. And so we didn't go to market with that solution because it's so complex. But then as we added AI to that data set, what AI explodes in is when you take AI and you put a huge data set, it finds all these learnings. It finds all this stuff that a human eye wouldn't see. Like, when's the best time to call for your company? What is the best statistically based upon what your company did? Okay. Wins and losses. What's the best next step in the process? Should you send an email, go visit them, send them a text, send an email? Statistically, what's the best right move? So there's no more guessing, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
so
fascinating.
We try to give it to you. Then AI will give you a dashboard. It'll just serve it up to you and be like, hey, here's what's happening. You don't know this, but here's a fire that's burning, and in 3 weeks from now, it's going to explode. And if you don't take care of it today, you're going to be in trouble. So humbly, I really believe that's what people want. And what I love about our platform is it grows as your company grows. If you want to be more automated, great. We'll be more automated. You want to stay more old school? Great. Because again, most companies have the data in their universe. Very few people need more data. They just can't find it. They don't see it till after the bomb went off, till after you lost your major client, till after one of your best people quit, till you have a major miss in your numbers. You don't see it. But then when you go do a postmortem, classic military, after the fact, what happened? It's there. You're like, oh yeah, it's there. It's right here in my CRM, or it's in my telephony system, or it's in my video
stuff.
Right. It's in, we just didn't see it. And so what we try to do is aggregate the data, show it to you, let you slice it and dice it, and then serve up the gold nuggets regularly and be like, hey, here's something you should be aware of. Hey, here's how you hopefully don't miss something that's really important for your operations. And so humbly, I believe that's what's happening. And then internally, to be very open, we're also testing 1,000 things. Of all the things that are out there, like what really works? How do you outreach at scale? Can you personalize in a way that doesn't sound automated? There's a million, I believe AI right now, the biggest impacts are in the marketing world. Like it's going to help sales and there'll be AI agents and you should have a GPT and all that's whatever, cool. But in sales, it's how do I find my people, right? How do I find my tribe? How do I hone in on them? And AI, there's a million tools right now. And so if you can find the right ones that be like, hey, your ICP is this, and here's how you reach them. Here's how the process. Here's a way to warm them up. I believe that is going to be the magic. And we have not figured that out either as we test different tools, and some we've kept and some we've gotten rid of after a couple months. And so we're also going through that kind of what works, what doesn't work, what creates deal flow, what creates interest.
As you're talking about like all the data you're consuming, what's been, as an example, one of the most interesting ahas you've seen with the customer going, interesting, I didn't know that this tool did this thing or had this good effect or this bad effect, or what's been some of the most highlighted things you could talk about?
That's a great question. So we deal with companies at all verticals, from nonprofit, aviation, standard SaaS, you name it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if any of them are mind blowing, but I love when we serve up the first data set to a customer. I can tell you this, it's mind blowing because it's not what they think it is, right? Managers have this thing like, here's how my people work, or here's what we're doing. And when we serve up the data of here's everything your team has, all their action, when they're in, when they're out, what works, things they've done to be successful, things not. When we serve up the first data set, I can just tell you this, it's never even close to what the manager thinks they're doing. I can tell you that for a fact. They're like, oh yeah, my people, they're like 9 to 6, maybe they start late because they're at home, and maybe they're like 10 to 4. And no, your people are like 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Then they're not engaged at all during the day. Then they pick back up at 1, and then they're online at night. And oh, by the way, you think they're using this new tool you bought them? Really what they're doing is they're texting all day and creating relationships and talking about the games this weekend. And then at the very end, they go, hey, I have a piece of software. Would you like to see it? So that part I love, and it's amazing. And so
I love it.
It's when we serve the data, it really unnerves people. I always say it's like a firework. They get the data and they look at us, are you sure this is right? You know what I mean? And last thing I'll just share, it's in both ends. There's bad stuff. They're like, this is not working, and you had no idea this was really bad. And then there's some amazing good stuff. Like, hey, we had one where one company's SDR had a 4x response to their outreach than the rest of their 30 members of their SDR team. 4x. It was unbelievable because their CRM had just got lost, right? They were all reaching out. They had standard templates and all the things you do. And this one guy had figured out some magic. Oh, there's a system he had in place, but it was just finding that. Again, it's finding the gold nugget. And once you find the gold nugget, you can repeat it. But we're not finding the gold nuggets, especially work from home, hybrid, technology, system. I'm trying to follow it. No one trains their people and doesn't tell them the best stuff. Everyone goes through the same product, pricing, FAQs, right? We train everybody the best. The magic is in the little details. It's the tiny little details. It's not the big things. Everyone knows the big things. Stop. If I just trained them better. No, it's your best people do these little things. They send a little text. They interact a certain way. They use a certain verbiage. They send a screenshot. Your best people are doing, it's 20 little things that make your best people great. It's not the big things. And I think companies lose sight of that. Did Bob make enough calls? Did Bob send enough emails? Did Mary reach out enough? You're like, everybody's doing that. That's not where the gold is. The gold is in the little nuances, identifying them and then sharing them and trying to repeat them.
So I'm just curious, because I know you said that people have enough data. I've actually seen the opposite, where people don't have enough data. Like you look at most people's CRM data, it's absolutely atrocious. It's like they just don't have it because they require
I think they have it, but most of them, like Salesforce, God bless Salesforce. You need like a Salesforce admin. Like anybody that has Salesforce, no, you better have a good admin. You better have somebody that can sort the data for you. Amen.
Yeah. So when you have that, then as you guys integrate with, let's just say someone had some call recording tool and they had HubSpot or Salesforce, whatever. And then in both places, so you have the calls in one spot, and the other side, you have Salesforce, which is probably atrocious in its data entry shenanigans because no sales rep does that very well. because they don't have time because they're trying to sell.
Sure.
How do you guys do with that? You're like, yeah, the system integrates with both and then shows up patterns with both, is with context of both.
Yeah, you know what's great is, again, I say really humbly, is that when we provide a view, it's all there. So if you, for example, if you take sales rep Mary, we can show you all all her stuff. And if you want to click on all of her video conferences, it's right there. You can click on every video meeting she's ever had and watch it and see it. You want to hear her voicemails, it's there. You can actually see it in one view. We aggregate everything and work with the client to figure out, make sure that the view of it is how they want to see it. Because everybody has I want to see it by team. I want to see it by person. I want to see it by the company. All that's available. But we take the data we take the raw data from the APIs and whatever the systems are on the server side. So we don't do any of the keystroke, mouse jiggling, none of that stuff. Only when it hits the system. Then take the raw data and input it. We do a first view, and then we'll massage it with the companies. Hey, I care about this. This is classified wrong. This step in the pipeline is actually the introduction. It's not here. And so we massage it a little and then start to serve it up. The raw data is what it is. And then it's great because then they can start to see it within the framework they want to see it. Not over here are my video conferences, over here are my emails. My CRM has my pipeline and notes should be there, but they're actually not in there. And then I got to reach out and then it's on a spreadsheet. So the magic is taking the raw data, put it in one view, and then without talking too much about FrontRace, we have 1,000 filters. You can slice it by inbound, outbound, by person, by day, time of day, by what the average is. Like if you're an analyst person, FrontRace is orgasmic for your life. It's literally amazing. I said, by the way, I'm not an analytic person, but if you love it, there's nothing better than FrontRace. But the AI piece then makes it for the 80% of managers are like, listen, I'm already busy enough. There's not a manager that sits around and goes, tonight I got a free hour. I'm just going to analyze my data. No one does. I don't know anyone that does that anyway. But and so what the AI does, it serves it up for you and says, hey, you better go look at these two things. You better go see this because everyone's already overwhelmed, right? There's not enough time to sell, talk to your management team, do your pipelines one-on-one, motivate your people, check everything. Like no one has any free time. So this says, hey, you better look at this. It's broken. Or, hey, you better look at this. It's great. Let's repeat it. So that's the magic of FrontRace. It finds the things because people are overwhelmed.
That's awesome. I love it. Let me ask you, I'm going to ask one last question and let you go. What are you excited about, both from FrontRace for you in the next year, which has a lifetime in the AI world, but what's really excited for FrontRace, and then just in general?
Oh, great question. I'm obviously starting this company. It's a year and a half old, super excited for conversations. I assume our product even will be different a year from now than it is today. So watching the AI tools and figuring out what works, what doesn't work, it's exciting and scary, right? No one wants to get left behind. And what are the things that are at scale that stick? Because maybe you love a tool, but if the market doesn't love a tool, it may go away quickly as it showed up. And so that'll be an interesting thing. And then I'm excited to be just very open. I'm frustrated. A lot of managers, to be honest, don't want to look at the raw data. And they don't want to necessarily, not that they don't want to change, but some of it's scary, right? It's, hey, if you had success in a certain way, in a certain model, we talked about before this call, and now everything's back to whiteboard and blue ocean. The model that worked for you, that made you successful and that you love, a sales model, a piece of technology, may be obsolete 18 months from now, and it's scary. So sometimes managers, leaders don't want to really embrace that because it's scary. I get it. We're out.
It's scary.
It is. It's, hey, I had made a lot of money and had success and I got promoted doing this. And now this thing I did now it doesn't work at all. And so that part, I hope we're able to have conversations openly about what works, what doesn't work, and be okay that none of us know. No one knows 3 years from now what it looks like, and being okay with the vulnerability of, I'm going to try this. Did this work? And being more open about process.
Yeah, I love that.
People kind of have their little fiefdoms and they get nervous, and we show up and be like, here's your raw data. And they'll just be like, when they wince a little, that part I'm really excited about is having a little less, more openness, a little less a resistance to looking at the raw stuff and seeing what can be done. Because it will be dramatically different. 2030, the sales market will be so different than 2020. It's not even funny. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. I think this year, I 3000% agree with you. I think this year specifically is one where it's going to, as a result of O3 coming out and all the agent platforms coming out and also the stuff coming out, like it's going to be a whole other level. I don't think people are even conceptually aware of yet, but it will be in the next literally couple months. I know of a couple tech coming out that's going to be like mind blowing. So it'll be fun. I saw a quote the other day that said that the new agentic technology is going to make ChatGPT look like an old calculator.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Yeah, great.
I listen, they had all the election stuff going on. Some guy, this is so funny. It's so funny what we put in our subconscious. Some guy, they were at one of those election balls the other night. And he goes, the people in the room, there's no TVs here. There's no screens. So they don't know what's going on. And he said that out loud on national TV. And I'm like, bro, everyone has a phone. What are you talking about? Who do it?
I know.
Because he literally said out loud on national TV, there's no screens up here. So people really don't know what's happening outside the room. You're like, are you insane?
Like whatever.
Every person has a screen in their hand. Like they walk out at it. You mentioned music. You walk out at a concert. No one's even watching. They so want to film it and capture it and post it on social media. They're not even, they can't even stay in the moment
present
because it's technology focused. But it's so exciting. It's going to be different. It's myself included of like being accepting, not holding any sacred cows and being able to look at it and monitor, change everything along the way.
Exactly right. Jack, what's the best way people get in touch with you? Is through LinkedIn? I'll make sure we have your posts. Anywhere else?
Yeah,
FrontRace.com.
I'm on LinkedIn all the time. If FrontRace, you can go to frontrace.com. We are literally, you can see our stuff for free. We believe in it so much. We'll literally install it, let you have it. You can have it in a couple of days. It's not like doing a big system where you're like 3 weeks from now, you'll have it. It literally in 72 hours, you'll have the data live. You don't have to even buy it till you love it. That's how powerful it is. I've never sold anything like that. We'll give it to you, set it up, let you have it. You don't want to keep it? Fine. But we haven't had any of those yet. When you get it and see it, you're like, so you can sign up. Yeah, you can sign up, have it for free. We'll customize it. It's amazing. FrontRace.com.
I love it, man. Jack, thank you for coming, man. I love this conversation. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Best of luck.
Back at you, buddy.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI Podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.